An isekai, but instead of a young boy being transported to a fantasy world, it's an orcish barbarian transported to a Japanese high school. Krug was chief of his tribe, quite proudly so. It was a long journey after bashing in the head of the previous chief last week. He sat comfortably in his throne of bone and pelts, when he heard a strange and foreign rumbling sound, like a cross between a chariot and thunder. Krug looked to the side, and coming barreling at him was a strange metal chariot, spewing smoke from long metal pipes. He started to get up, to get out of the way of this contraption, but it was too fast. Krug found the world disappeared, and he was floating in a black void. Welcome to Between Worlds, Krug. You were very good at being an orc, weren't you? Krug nodded, very proud. The voice, with an almost playful lilt, asked him, would you be up for a greater challenge in your next life? Krug shouted into the void, Krug, take any challenge. The voice chuckled, any, huh? Okay. Now, everybody gets reincarnated, and it's procedure that everyone gets one wish for their next life. What do you wish, Krug? Krug thought a moment, which was a very un-Krug-like thing to do, but then again, so was dying, so he was up for new things. Krug won't be Krug. Krug no remember reincarnating before. Krug won't remember. The voice whistled, ooh, I didn't expect the isekai wish from you. That's been getting pretty popular for those leaving Japan, hence a recent increase in Japanese cultural exports across worlds, but not many think of it otherwise. Alright Krug, good choice. You are granted the isekai wish. Suki was the quintessentially snobby rich girl who had everything. She was good at everything, thanks for all the money in the world for private tutors, and treasurer of the student council. She had her eyes set on president, but hadn't yet achieved it. But her machinations were flawless. By next year, this school would be hers. For now though, she had to win over one last club leader to solidify the vote control she needed, and this one was racquetball. She had gotten 3 days personal coaching from an expert over the weekend. She figured a day of hanging with the club, playing decently, would be enough to build up that initial rapport. She walked into the court, and noticed the head of the racquetball team. His name was Jack, half American. He was large, toned, but pleasantly lanky and not bad on the eyes. She smiled, his type were the easiest. A little flirting would win him easy. Fancy a round? She smiled, holding up her racket. Sure. Jack replied. Suki walked into the court, and launched the ball. Jack's muscles snapped in response. He wasn't focusing on her, he was focused on the ball. He might be harder to crack than she thought. That said, she should have been paying more attention to the ball, because her skull was apparently much easier to crack on the ball's rebound. Suki woke up in the hospital. A basket of flowers from Jack were nearby, and her head was splitting. She smelled something. She lifted her hand to her head, where the still wet bandages were. The smell of blood. Memories came rushing back, memories she didn't know she had. The tribe, the strange chariot she now recognized as a truck. Her muscles tightened as her posture adjusted to that of a well-trained warrior. Yes, she was a reincarnation of Krug, the mighty chieftain. She knew this now. As her old identity and her present mingled, making a newer hybrid of the two, she realized she had been going about this all wrong. There were simpler paths to power. All she had to do was make sure the president and vice president of the student council were out of the picture, and that'd leave her as next. Sure, there was the legality, that was something she never had to face as Krug, but she was politically savvy now. She was pretty sure she could avoid getting caught. All she needed was a solid blade and their routes home, and one of their frequent late nights working would all but guarantee her ascendance in the school hierarchy. She smiled, as that old familiar and yet unknowingly missed feeling of bloodlust returned.